that for those people who are born to be healers, it's difficult sometimes to find a way to take that innate skill set and turn it into a profession that you can actually use that's authentic to who you are and that can make a real difference in both your life and in the world. So with the EFT certification program, we have the solution for that. So living that life of purpose and doing the things that you were born to do starts with the right training. There's a lot of EFT training out there, like I said earlier, but finding the training that really fits who you are and what you're trying to accomplish is where the challenge comes in. So the great thing with the EFT training that I offer is that it's going to help you in level 1 to actually work on yourself. So level 1 is designed primarily for self-healing while you're learning the various techniques that you're going to be using with others. It's also a way to build a successful career that you can do in your own terms. I know Mimi was talking earlier about the pandemic in 2020 when it was impossible for people even to work, but people who were working online were thriving. So it's a chance to have a career that not only fits who you are inside, but it's also a chance to work from home, up to your own schedule, your own terms, and to be able to live a life of passion that is aligned with what you're supposed to do. I know that for me personally, one of the few things in my own life that has given me true satisfaction is watching somebody heal. And I had the pleasure of doing that with a lot of people who nobody else was ever able to help. And I know that if you're someone who's in the psychiatric community, for example, you're seeing a lot of that, people who are slipping through because there's no way to help them. But with EFT, we get results when no one else does, I promise. EFT certification offers you emotional freedom, freedom of space, freedom of location and time. I know that for my own purposes, I actually live in Panama City, Panama, and I have had the good fortune to travel the world while doing EFT as a profession. And I've had many other students do the same. And also financial freedom, because you can basically write your own paycheck depending on, how you want to structure your EFT practice and what you want to do with your skill set. The opportunity to do very well out there is a real thing. So the next question is, why would you even get professional training? Because there's a lot of training out there on YouTube, Udemy, even the tapping solution, which I expect most of you are familiar with. For me, in my experience, mediocre training means mediocre results. And the results are what you're really after. So to know how to tap on your face, to know how to tap five spots on your face is one thing, but to know what to do when somebody comes with you who has a specific illness or a lifetime of trauma or, even sexual trauma, and to be able to take that person from point A to point B it's just what it's all about. And to have mediocre skills means getting mediocre results. Everybody's going to get some results with EFT, just because the technique itself is so effective. But to get the kind of results that are going to transform people's lives, you need to have the training. And that means knowing all of the various techniques, when to use them, how to use them, why you would use this technique in this situation and not that technique, know how to get out of it if you do have somebody who is re-traumatizing. In my training, you're even going to learn what all the different points are. You're going to learn why each point does what it does, which meridian it's associated with. You're going to learn how to create effective setup statements. You're going to learn how to reframe, help clients to reframe. And and you're going to have the experience by the time you're done that you will be able to help pretty much anybody who sits down in front of you every time. So another reason you would get the professional training is it's just the responsible thing to do. So to have someone sit down who has put their life and their well-being into your hands, especially if by the time they've gotten to you, they have tried everything and nothing else has helped, and they sit down in front of you and you're the person who gets them their life back, that's the juice, that's everything. But in order to do that, you've got to start by doing the responsible thing, which is actually know your craft. And the other reason is that the credibility of having professional training means something. In a world full of people who are taking shortcuts, for you to be the one person who has done the professional training and who really sets the standard for everyone else is magic. So what EFT tapping does not require is special equipment. One of the great things about EFT is that you're not going to have to invest, a lot of money in equipment or offices or any of that sort of stuff. What you have is within you and at your fingertips. So there's no need to make some big investment, but we get very significant life-changing results without investing 10 years in education and $10,000 or $50,000 or $200,000. And you also don't have prerequisites. I do train a lot of counselors, a lot of life coaches, a lot of therapists, nurses, teachers, but you do not have to have those licenses or credentials in order to take the training or ultimately to become a great EFT practitioner. So I'm assuming that everybody's here because they already know what EFT tapping is. So as I said earlier, didn't spend a lot of time in the presentation teaching people about EFT. So EFT stands for the Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it has an S at the end, techniques, because it is a variety of techniques that make up the protocol. It is not just tapping on your face. It's knowing how to use that tapping on the face, which is actually a lot more than tapping on the face when you know all the different points, and using that to turn it into a healing process. So EFT is based on a very specific understanding. And this is what throws some people off at the beginning. And if you're someone that it throws off, my training is probably not for you. Just know that up front. But it's based on the understanding that we as human beings are energy beings before we are physical beings, that our soul, our spirit, our energy is what runs the boat, and that the physical body and the physical experience is the caboose on the train. When you understand that energy is what keeps us alive, and that when energy becomes blocked, we get symptoms. So what we do is we tune into the underlying block, and then we tap on very specific points on the energy system. And by doing that, we are clearing the blockage and we are returning the energy flow. Some people call it acupuncture for the emotions. But by clearing that energy flow, now all of a sudden, your system is running normal again, which it might have forgotten what normal even feels like. And by doing that, healing can naturally take place. And when our energy moves, then transformation invariably follows. You'll get things like cognitive shifts where the person's getting a new understanding about what happened. It's powerful. What does EFT work for? So EFT was founded by Gary Craig in the early 1990s. And he had a saying that said, try it on everything. And that is because when you understand the underlying mechanism, that all symptoms are an expression of a blockage in the energy system, you start to understand that the mechanism for healing within the realm of EFT is always the same. And what happens then is that makes EFT limitless. What limits it? It's only limited by the quality of the practitioner and their capacity to use the technique to get the results that are intended. So the most famous things that it's good for are anxiety and depression, of course, stress, all those sorts of things, phobias. It's incredibly powerful for addictions. Trauma is the biggie, of course, PTSD, and really everything, like physical pain, chronic illness. I've actually created a form of EFT called instructional EFT, which is my own creation that is specifically designed for people with chronic illness. So it can work on everything. So a little bit about me, because like I said earlier, there's a lot of competition out there right now. Why would you choose to train with me? Like I said, I've been doing this now for 25 years, and I got my original training with Gary Craig and Patricia Carrington. Patricia's gone now, of course, for anybody who knows her. And then Gary Craig is the founder of EFT. I did that in 1999. I then went on to work as a hands-on practitioner for 12 years in private practice. Now, that's more important than you may realize for a lot of people out there. When you're looking at the various trainings, you'll see people have a lot of credentials, but what they don't have is time in the seat. And this is true of even the biggest known teachers in the industry. You'll find that they're teachers, they're researchers, they're authors, but did they actually sit in the seat with clients for any period of time? And you'll find that virtually none of them do. They have the training to teach, but they don't have the experience to back it up. And that's really what differentiates me from everyone else. It's also given me the capacity to create various techniques that are not found in any other program, simply because when I got in there with clients who were not getting better, I had to find solutions. And those solutions turned into techniques that I'm now able to teach you guys. So I've trained more than 5,000 people. I started out teaching it in person. And then in 2009, we were the first ones to take the training online, back when nobody even thought it was possible. So we've been doing it online ever since. And as I said, I'm also the founder of Instructional EFT. For anybody who cares, I was a guest speaker on the Tapping World Summit back in 2020. And just so you know, my metaphysical bent, it's not something I'm trying to hide. I used to be the founder and president of the International Metaphysical University. I did that for a long time too. A little bit about me and my story. So I grew up with a mom who had debilitating anxiety, and she was in and out of what we would call the 7th floor at the local hospital. She struggled with depression and anxiety her whole life. She's gone now, died last year. And so when it started to happening to me in my 30s, I recognized what it was, and I was not going to go down the same path of pills and hospitalization and constant counseling sessions. And so I started looking under every rock to try and find a solution. And I had a lot of things that helped a little bit, but nothing was solving it. And then one day I had gone to this alternative healthcare fair, and I was visibly shaking. At this point in my life, I was struggling to even leave my house. Anxiety had completely overtaken my life. So I go to this alternative healthcare fair, and there's this guy, Ken, there. I've never seen Ken before or since, but he pulled me aside and said, "Let me show you tapping." Now, this is like 1999. And when he started tapping on me, I literally rolled my eyes and laughed out loud because it was so ridiculous. And I couldn't wrap my mind around the idea that I could tap on my body and my anxiety would go away. It was ludicrous. And in the 90s, this stuff was so cutting edge that, it was unheard of at that point. Nobody knew what EFT was. But what happened was I stopped shaking, and I could feel an essential shift that happened even in that 15 or 20 minutes of tapping that Ken did. And yeah, I couldn't deny it. And so I had to pursue it for my own purposes. And that's what led me to the training. And when I saw the transformation that happened in my own life, I fell absolutely in love with tapping, and I wanted to share it with the world. And so I opened my practice. I started helping people along with other protocols. I do other protocols besides EFT, but at the end of the day, EFT was always the cream that rose to the top of the pile. And over time, it became my primary and now effectively my only active protocol. So yeah, it transformed my life. And then I made it my mission to go on and help others transform theirs. How do I teach EFT differently from everyone else? So as I said, I was also the president of the International Metaphysical University, and understanding energy, quantum physics, spirituality, not from the perspective of any particular belief system. I think every belief system has at its core the same basic principles. So I do come at this from a soul level perspective. When someone sits down in front of me, whether it's a student or it is a client, what I'm asking is, what is their soul learning in this moment? And how can I see them on all levels? That's not just mind and body, but it's mind, body, heart, and spirit, because the whole person's sitting down there in front of me. And if I'm not looking at the whole person to understand what is going on with them, I can't help them make the transformation that they're trying to make. So I teach it the same way. I teach it as if every person's more than a person, they're a soul. And so for me, EFT is very personal. It is not clinical. And so I believe that in order to get the results, we must see the client as a whole being. So then the next question is, are you a good candidate for my training? So if you're thinking about, the training, you're not just thinking about me, but as the teacher, but are you a right fit for my specific training? So it really comes down to who you are. So if you have an inner knowing that you were born to help others, or as I know some of you already are helping others, you have an intuitive side to yourself. You're open-minded to metaphysical and energetic concepts. You're willing to do the work to be a great EFT practitioner, because my training is not for the mediocre, it's for the great. You have to have some capacity to use technology because the program is online. And you have to have that inner longing inside of you to have and to live a life of purpose and to make a difference in the world. So let's talk about my training, which is called the Premier Online EFT Certification Training. One of the things that separates me from everyone else is that I offer levels 1, 2, and 3 EFT Master's Training. Very few people offer the Master's Training, mostly because they're just not qualified. So, but we do offer all 3 levels. We also offer you the opportunity to go directly into the level 3 training. So the 1 or 2 programs that are out there that do offer the master's training usually require you to do testing or interviews or all of that sort of thing. You have to wait until the training is available, which is maybe once a year, every couple of years. With my training, you have the opportunity to go directly into it. To me, it just makes sense that while you're in the midst of it, to continue going on to get the most advanced training that you can. So each level of training is going to have about 50 hours of on-demand training. So that means you can log in. The training is pre-recorded. You can watch it at your own pace. You can fit it into the nooks and crannies of your life whenever it fits your life to do that. you have lifetime access as well. So I'm not chasing you down and going, hey, you didn't finish the class this week. It adapts to you, not the other way around. Now, it's going to be both the combination of the training, but also the hands-on experience, because knowing about EFT is not the same thing as being an EFT practitioner. So you will be working with other students in the class and also with our coaches, and to get the hands-on experience. And then you'll be reporting that back, and our team of people are overseeing you as you go through the training to make sure that you're on track. And also, if you have questions at any time, you can contact me, you can contact the people who are overseeing the training, and you can reach me also through the private Facebook group. So the private Facebook group is where you're going to find your tapping partners, which also means you have unlimited tapping partners. So as long as you want to tap, there's always somebody who's going to want to tap with you, which becomes another form of self-healing, because while you're learning to help heal others, you're also healing yourself. So one of the things about our built-in coaching is that does not come with extra fees. My training is a one-cost training. I'm not always out there bugging you to buy the next thing. If you compare my training to what the competitors are doing, often it looks like their training is less expensive, but when you really start digging in and you figure out that, oh, you have to have X number of coaching calls, and those coaching calls are $200 a piece, that all of a sudden their programs get much more expensive than mine very rapidly. Mine's a one and done kind of investment. Another thing about the training is that it's accredited with AEFTP, which is the Association of EFT Professionals. And the reason that matters is that most of the EFT trainings out there are either accredited through EFT International, or they're with some, like, I don't know who they are. But the key differences between AEFTP and EFT International is that EFT International requires you to do annual CEU training to maintain your credentials. And that gets very burdensome and very expensive. One of the reasons that I like AEFTP is that they are not burdening you with them deciding what training you need. To me, like, people have full lives, they're smart, and they know what training they're attracted to or what they feel like they need, and they will seek that out. They don't need anybody in some boardroom telling them what training they need to do to take in order to maintain their credentials. And another thing about my training is, as I was saying earlier, it is a professional training. It is designed to turn you into a professional who can handle anything that sits down in front of you. So you are going to go deep, and you are going to learn every possible technique that's out there, how to use it, when to use it, when not to use it. And you're going to learn how to work with basically anything that sits down in front of you, and to do so with confidence. If you do decide to sign up, the next question is going to be, do I need the level 3 certification? Do I need to be an EFT master, or is level 1 and 2 enough? So the difference between levels 1 and 2, so the level 1 and 2 program is combined into one training. It's the practitioner's training. I used to teach level 1 separately and level 2 separately, but I had too many people who were going out and hanging up a shingle after level 1, and I couldn't put my name on it. So I combined the 2 levels into the practitioner's training. The practitioner's training is a very, very comprehensive training. It is teaching you primarily how to do all of the techniques, how to use all of the techniques. You will be a very proficient EFT practitioner when you're done. But if your intention is to work with what I call life clients, for clients like that, you have to know how to create a client map. You have to know how to adjust to when a client has something that's happening that's acute, or when something is happening that is complex. and how to manage your way through a client that has multiple issues that are presenting at the same time. I also teach you advanced techniques in the level 3 training that you're not going to get. That includes things like matrix reimprinting. It includes things like perspective switching or imagined violence. And and those techniques are going to help you with those clients, again, who have complex trauma. So the other difference is the difference between how much the practitioners earn. These are general numbers. Every person is going to have, different credentials. And if you're someone who has 30 years of experience behind you versus someone who has, who's right out of college, those sorts of things, you're going to adjust your prices. But generally speaking, a level 1 or level 2 practitioner can expect to earn easily $100 an hour. When you're talking about somebody who is trained as an EFT master, that rate is going to go up to, more or less 150 an hour. Again, those are just numbers. But an EFT master is going to make more in general than a level 2 practitioner. So for those of you who are looking to make a real living out of it, to make a good living out of it, the level 3 training can help speed that up for you. Okay. How do you make money with EFT? So one-on-one client sessions are generally the bread and butter. You also have group tapping as an option. There are people who write books or create courses. There are social media influencers out there like the Tapping Solution who are making a lot of money online with EFT. And then there's also, jobs. So if you're working at a psychiatric hospital or any hospital, if you're working in the schools, addiction recovery, those clinics are using a lot of EFT and getting a lot of grants, by the way, for doing so. And then domestic abuse shelters, those sorts of things. There are people out there who hire EFT practitioners if that's how you want to go. But the key to those kinds of jobs, and also the key to success all around, is to have the core education, then have the credentials behind you, and then when you are ready, to become a specialist. Because specialists can make some bank. Because if you're the one person in the world who is the specialist at using EFT for a thing, everybody in the world is going to want your skill set. And so that's where you can really start charging the big bucks. Okay, how long does it take to get certified? The class is set up so you can work at your own pace. So it's completely up to you. If you're somebody who has, 40 hours a week that you can work on it, you can get it done in a couple of weeks. But because it's on demand, it fits into the nooks and crannies of your life. You can do it anywhere, anytime, while the babies are sleeping, kind of thing, or while the boss is away at work. You do not have to travel to take live training. It was always unnecessary, and it's even more so now. Consider that it's going to take you about 50 hours per level of training and hands-on practice. So level 1 and level 2 is going to take you about 100 hours. Level 3 is an additional 50 hours. It is possible to complete the training, the level 1 and level 2 training, in as little as 3 months. It happens quite often, but in my experience, 6 months seems to be about the average. Okay, how much does it cost to get certified? So if you look at comparable trainings, you're going to find that they're running anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 generally for the comparable training. My level 1 and level 2 is only $14.99, which sometimes I look at that and I think I'm crazy, but that's what it is. If you want to go on to do level 3, that's $19.99 if you take it on your own. But if you do the combined level 1 and 2 certification, it's $29.99. So we do offer low-cost payment plans so that anybody who wants to become certified can. I think this should be in the hands of as many people as possible. And you can also build a career that you love, that is aligned with who you are, in just 3 months. Well, I don't know if you can build a career in 3 months, but you can have the training that you need to begin the process of building a career in as little as 3 months for as little as $1,500. Like, that's crazy. So if you compare that to somebody who has a counseling degree, or a therapist training, these are people that are taking 6 years of education, and schooling can cost upwards of $200,000. So the fact that you can have a career that you can do online from home in the comfort of your own home without having to get an office, without having to buy any special equipment, and be able to charge $150 an hour because the kind of transformation that you get is worth it, is pretty incredible. So basically, if you do 10 sessions over the course of your entire life, you pay for the training, and then the rest of it's just profit. For those of you who have attended the webinar, and the special offer today is a full 20% off of your EFT certification training. It doesn't matter whether you're going to do the level 1 and level 2 practitioner training, or the level 1, level 2, and level 3 master practitioner training. You're going to receive the same 20% off. On top of that, you're also going to get 5 free complimentary courses today. The first one is the role of consciousness in EFT healing. It's one of my favorite classes that I ever taught, and I think it's very valuable to any of you who are going on to get certified in EFT with me. The second class is getting clients through Instagram. It's going to help you to build a successful EFT practice without having to spend a lot of money on marketing. The third one is shifting your success set point. This is to help you personally to open yourself up using EFT tapping to be more successful. The next one is picture tapping. This is another form of EFT tapping and EFT protocol. It's taught by one of my graduates by the name of Taz Vasquez. And it's a fun protocol to help out with those people who struggle with expressing their emotions. And the last one that I'm offering is 5 unsung pillars of healing addiction with EFT tapping. This is a very advanced course. It wouldn't make sense to you if you didn't have the EFT certification training. But because you do have the EFT certification training, you will be able to put this information to work. So you have the 20% off, and you have 5 free courses to complement your EFT training. To sign up, you go to onlineeftcertification.com/webinar-special. And that is going to get you into the class. It was really great to have you join me for the webinar today. And I really look forward to the possibility of having you in the EFT certification training.